Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Canella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Glazer, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Lada, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nilsson, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
Colleagues, the Secretary notices the absence of a quorum. Would all members please come to the Senate floor for our 9 a.m. session? The sooner we get started, the sooner we will be able to conclude today's matters. All senators, please, to the Senate floor for our 9 a.m. session. Present with the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery, please rise. We will be led in prayer this morning by our chaplain, Sister Michelle Gorman. After which, please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag by Senator Leno.
Let us recall that we are in God's holy presence. Gracious and loving God, we ask you this day for the grace to accomplish all you are inviting us to do. May we be clothed in faith to believe in spite of the temptations to fear and doubt. May we be clothed in courage to confront the suffering and injustice in our world. May we be clothed in wisdom to discern what is good for the future of our children. May we be clothed in skills for peacemaking to heal divisions among our brothers and sisters. May we be clothed in generosity to spend ourselves on behalf of those who rely on our faith, courage, and wisdom. May we be reliable witnesses to your love. Amen.
Thank you, Sister. Thank you, son. Privileges of the floor. Under privileges of the floor, Senator Pan at the pro tem's desk. Senator Pan.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President, Senators. I have the privilege of welcoming to the Senate floor, and please join me in welcoming some amazing individuals today. First, I want to introduce Sharon McIntyre, Paramedic Sharon McIntyre, and Deputy Chief Chris Harvey from the Sacramento Fire Department. Officers Chantel Gunville, Sarah Stambaugh from the Sacramento Police Department, joined by Chief Sam Summers of the Sacramento Police Department. Michael Vivek, citizen of Sacramento. Justin Furter, also a citizen of Sacramento. And California Highway Patrol Chief Steve Dowling, on behalf of Officer Erickson. On April 8th, 2016, California Highway Patrol Officer Michael Erickson, 17-year veteran, was intentionally run over by a pickup truck while responding to a disabled vehicle situation on Interstate 80 near Madison Avenue. As tragic as this incident was, it was a shining example of some of Sacramento's and California's best citizens, law enforcement, and paramedics that came to the assistance of Officer Erickson. Mr. Vivek and Mr. Federer, both private citizens, saw the incident involving Officer Erickson, took the time to comfort the injured officer while using his radio to call for help. Officers Gunville and Stambaugh, off duty at the time, stuck in traffic caused by the incident, ran to the scene and provided assistance, as well as sent out additional radio calls for help. Paramedic Sharon McIntyre, also off duty and stuck in traffic. She ran to the scene, coordinated medical efforts, and assisted Officer Erickson in the helicopter while he was transferred for medical care. Now, I'm pleased to say that Officer Erickson was recently discharged from the hospital. I would also like to acknowledge that we are joined in the gallery here today this morning by members of the families and fellow officers here to show their support. So I'd like to ask all of you to join me in thanking these outstanding individuals who truly represent Sacramento and California's best. They remind us that we each can make a difference in a time of need and should be congratulated and recognized for their outstanding efforts in citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you to our honored guests. Thank you for your bravery and courage. Any other privileges of the floor? Any other privileges of the floor? Seeing none, moving on to messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read. Reports of committee will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Under motions, resolutions, and notices. Under motions, resolutions, and notices. Seeing none, under consideration of the daily file. Without objection, the Senate journals for June 13th through June 16th, 2016 will be approved as corrected by the minute order. Senator Huff, for what purpose, sir?
Madam Chair, President, excuse me. I was in committee for a moment. I have a letter for the Journal pertaining to SB 970. It's been approved by both sides.
Very well. That will be considered without objection.
Thank you.
Senator Monning.
Thank you. Under motions and resolutions, I'd like to move to remove AB 2761, file item 45, from the consent calendar at the request of the author.
That will be the order.
Thank you.
Without objection. Senator Hertzberg.
Thank you very much, Madam President. With respect to file item 132, I'd like to remove AB 2910 from the consent calendar at the request of the Committee on Local Government.
Without objection. Any other motions and resolutions? Seeing none, under consideration of the daily file, second reading file, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 126, 127, Assembly Bill 741 with amendments, 1919, 2406, 1911.
Second reading file will be deemed read. We are going to move directly, colleagues, to the budget bills. We will go now to file item 112. Colleagues, we're about to take up the budget trailer bills. So if we could have your attention, file item 112. File item 112. Senator Leno, file item 112. Colleagues, we are taking up the budget bills right now. If we could have your attention. And quiet in the back of the hall, please. Senator Leno. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 1602 by the Assembly Committee on Budget, enacting to education and making an appropriation therefore to take effect immediately. Bill related to the budget.
Senator Leno.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, we'll be taking up 8 trailer bills this morning, leaving us with just a very few yet to do before all of our trailer bill work will be completed. So this is our first of the 8, our higher education trailer bill. It does a number of things. Most significantly, it will establish the Strong Workforce Program, which will expand a quality career technical education and workforce development programs in our community college system and encourage a collaboration with our regions between public institutions and the industries. It also expands access to higher education by specifying that the University of California approve a plan and a timeline to increase the number of freshman admits who are enrolled in high schools with 75% or more unduplicated students. There's been much conversation about how we better ensure that qualifying California students do have access to the University of California. But UC has to provide us first with this plan and timeline. And then at the California State University, we provide $35 million to increase 4-year and 2-year graduation rates, including students from underrepresented minority groups, low-income students, and first-generation college students. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Debate or discussion on this item? Is there any debate or discussion? Senator Wolk.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I want to briefly point out one very important item in this bill. It's the language that states our intent that the University of California establish a firearm violence research center. This may be a very small amount in the context of our budget, but it is a big step for us, frankly, and for the country to step in where Congress has failed. I want to thank our pro tem, Kevin DeLeon, Senator Block, Senator Leno, those on the conference committee, and the governor, who advocated and voted for this and support this, and thank you to the governor for his agreement. It's important that we use real data and scientific methods to ask our best researchers to try and find real answers to what is an extraordinary public health crisis. I'm very proud to be a member of this legislature in California and very proud to serve with this governor. And I want to thank Senator Dianne Feinstein and others who were so strongly supportive of this effort. And I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wolk. Other debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Leno, would you like to close?
Thank you, Madam President. On this point that was raised by Senator Wolk, I just want to reassure everyone, this in no way, and it was brought up in Budget Committee, in no way is intended to be hardly an assault, but even any potential infringement upon Second Amendment rights. Just this morning, it was announced that the American Medical Association has deemed firearm injuries and deaths to be a serious public health hazard and encouraging Congress to take the step that we are doing here today. And written into the trailer bill are the words that it's efforts to promote the responsible ownership of use of firearms. So I think this is something we can come to agree on in terms of a public health concern, and I would ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. No. Bates. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Cannella. Aye. DeLeon. Fuller. Gaines. No. Galgiani. Aye. Glazer. Aye. Hall. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Jackson. Aye. Lara. Leno. Aye. Leva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Mitchell. Aye. Monning. Aye. Morlock. Morrell. No. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Pan. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Runner. Stone. Vidak. No. Wachowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk aye.
Please call the absent members.
Lotta aye. Bates. No. Berryhill. DeLeon. Aye. Fuller. Huff. Mendoza. Morlock. Aye. Nilsson. Runner. Stone. Stone aye.
Ayes 29, noes 5. The measure, assembly amendments are, the measure passes, the measure passes. Moving on to, before we go to file item 113, going back to motions and resolutions, privileges of the floor, actually. Senator Allen at Senator DeLeon's desk. Senator Allen.
Thank you, Madam President. Today, I'm very honored to present a resolution along with some of my colleagues to show California's gratitude for the service of our California State Military Reserve and all the work that they've done and will continue to do in the future. This year marks the Reserve's 75th anniversary. So our State Military Reserve is an all-volunteer defense force which provides services to our state during major emergencies. They are headquartered in Sacramento, and they have over 1,600 members, each of whom volunteers time on their weekends for drills and classes. Last year, California State Military Reserve members volunteered 150,000 hours of their time on the state's behalf. So the California State Military Reserve, or the State Guard as it was then called, was vital during World War II, guarding communication lines and key facilities, But members have done very important work more recently as well. In 2005, for example, many of them went to New Orleans to assist residents during the flooding and devastation which occurred after Hurricane Katrina. So with me here, I have Brigadier General Frank Emanuel, Commander of the California State Military Reserve, and Sergeant Major Daniel DeGeorge, Chief Religious Affairs Non-Commissioned Officer. And I just want to thank them and thank both of them and the rest of the California State Military Reserve for their extraordinary service to our state and to our nation. We have several other senators here.
Colleagues, if we could give a round of applause to our honored guests. Senator Hernandez at Senator De Leon's desk.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, this Senate CSMR recognition resolution floor presentation is to General Mel and Sergeant Major George DeGeorge. I would like to thank the CSMR soldiers in my district who volunteer at my district events throughout the year. They've done an incredible job. These volunteer citizen soldiers bring an exceptional passion for service. I'm always impressed by the level of professionalism they bring to our events. And thank you, General Emanuel and Sergeant Major DeGeorge, for your service as well. And we do have a California State Military Reserve resolution. It's from the State Senate. I won't read the whereases, but I will say resolved by Senators Ben Allen, Marty Block, Ed Hernandez, and Jeff Stone, and Assembly members Melissa Melendez, that they recognize and commend the California State Military Reserve and their countless soldiers and airmen who have served in the reserves throughout its history for their selfless service and dedication to the state of California, and extend sincere best wishes for the reserve's continued success in the future. Thank you very much, and it's Joint Member Resolution number 266. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, and again, a round of applause, please, for our distinguished guests. And I guess this is Senator Stone, me too. All right,
Thank you,
Senator
Madam
Stone.
President. Appreciate the opportunity. And members, I rise to thank Brigadier General Emanuel, Command Sergeant Major DeGeorge, as well as every other member of the State Military Reserve. The California State Military Reserve is the defense force of California and an integral component of the California Military Department. The mission of the California State Military Reserve is to provide an adequately trained and organized state military reserve force under the exclusive control of the governor. The California State Military Reserve is comprised of over 1,600 soldiers and airmen who are trained and ready to serve the great state of California, and is an all-volunteer operational force within the California National Guard today. The soldiers and airmen of the California State Military Reserve provided over 150,000 hours to the state in 2015. The California State Military Reserve began in the January of 1941 when the California State Guard was established and organized in response to the California National Guard's mobilization in support of World War II. By the end of 1941, over 21,600 Californians had joined the California State Guard and were tasked with guarding lines of communications, key facilities, and vital installations throughout the state. By the end of World War II, over 75,000 Californians had served with the California State Guard. The California State Military Reserve carries on the legacy and spirit of that originally California State Guard to this day. The California State Military Reserve supports the California National Guard in its defense to support civil authorities during state emergencies and works with the National Guard, the California National Guard, to meet homeland security and defense challenges that we face in our great state. I encourage you all to meet with the members of this all-volunteer force today between 9:30 and 1:30 p.m. on the west side of the Capitol, where they'll have military vehicles on hand and other items on display that highlight the rich history and service of the California State Military Reserve. Gentlemen, thank you and your colleagues for your service to our state.
Thank you, Senator Stone. Senator Block.
Thank you, Madam President. As the fourth signatory in the Senate to this resolution, I just want to thank my staffer, Kevin Powers, who does legislative work for me, but on weekends and regularly during the month, is a member of the reserves, is a staff sergeant, and is training with these fine gentlemen to help when needed, when called by our state and our country. So thank you to the reserves. Thank you, Kevin Powers.
Thank you, Senator Block. And again, thank you to our esteemed guests.